Staying on the program. Now, the National Executive Committee of the New Patriotic Party is under pressure to take a second look at some of its recommendations on the selection of the party's parliamentary candidates for the elections in 2016. The issue that has attracted the most attention so far is the recommendation that the party's female members of parliament should not be challenged by male aspirants. Another issue that has raised some eyebrows is the recommendation that in some constituencies in the Greater Accra region, only indigents should be allowed to contest. Now let's take a closer look at this. I have on the line Upuku Ejuse, who is a legal practitioner. Lawyer Ejuse, thanks for joining us here.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, Lawyer Ejuse. Now, what do you make of the NPP's decision to restrict the contest in some coastal areas or coastal constituencies to just indigents?
Well, what I would say is that the party, I believe, had good intention in ensuring that affirmative action issues are respected in the party. Also, issues of how we can, the party can win votes in certain areas of Ghana are also taken into account. But one thing that we have to bear in mind is that anytime such policies are being taken or decisions are being taken, we have to take it within the confines of the law. If you look at political parties in Ghana, it's been established authoritatively by the Supreme Court that political parties are public institutions and therefore they are subject to all the laws of Ghana. There was a case in which certain police men were alleged to have stolen money belonging to the NDC. That was Yebi and Abalifo. That was in the 90s. And when they were charged with offense of against the state, they said that stealing a political party's money wasn't an offense against the state. The matter went to the Supreme Court, and it's been reported that political parties are organs of the state, and for that reason, if you steal their money, it affects every Ghanaian. So, internal party matters, we are required by the Constitution to see to it that the tenets of rule of law, democracy, and everything are adhered to. So that's what the party has to ensure, that matters of discrimination, if other agents are raising them, they pay heed to them and address them correctly. Now,
we have the situation where some party supporters went to the party headquarters to picket as a form of protest against the decisions taken by the National Executive Committee. Now, the question is, what alternatives exist for these people who would want to contest the decision by the NPP's neck?
I didn't get the full import of the question.
I'm asking what alternatives exist for persons or party members who would want to contest these decisions taken by the NPP's neck.
Well, in the NPP, we have a constitution. There are mechanisms for resolving such disputes. So the alternative is that they petition the appropriate authorities for them to have a look at the decision again, because it's a decision that people have shown that they don't agree with. So those agreed persons will have to use the internal structures and see if they can remedy. That's because the political parties are still under the law of Ghana and are required to meet the requirements of the law. If anyone is not able to be satisfied through the internal procedures, then that person can seek redress at the appropriate forum.
Yeah, thank you very much, Lawyer Ejuse. Lawyer Poku Edis has been commenting on decisions taken by the NPP to restrict coastal constituencies in the Greater Accra region to just indigents to contest. Now, the depreciation of the cedi has taken a toll on the operations of petroleum importers. According to the chief executive of the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors, the development has made it difficult to secure new credit from banks to fund imports. Senor Hosi is CEO of the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors, and he's joined me over the telephone. Hello, Senor. Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Now, what more can you tell us about the cedi impacting your business?
As you must be aware, our trade is largely indexed in dollars. We import our products in dollars, and the government defines our pricing in cedis. So within that process, there will definitely be an exchange rate applied. And if that rate, you have the exchange rate depreciating quite faster than the maturity of our payment obligations, or probably letters of credit in simple terms, well, that will definitely lead to what we call the FX under recoveries. So for instance, if prices are set on the assumption that the exchange rate should be, say, at 3.5, and eventually, due to the depreciation, you have the rate hike up to about 3.7, then you have a major loss. So for a 10 million transaction per se, you'll be making a loss of 5 million Ghana cedis. And that's what we call an FX under recovery. So it has a major negative impact on our industry.
But isn't it for the same reason some sort of hedging was done?
There's been no hedging done, but it's not really going to be that practical to easily hedge the volume of trade we do in terms of the FX instead of the exchange rate or the currency. But you may be able to hedge on the product or an international price of the product. But as we speak, even that has not been hedged. That will not necessarily insulate you from the exchange rate risk at all. You may go and hedge at $100, for instance, and that would assume at all times, even if prices go up at 150, you always pay $100. That's fine. But if your exchange rate is still depreciating, you are still going to be faced with the same risk of losing possibly 5 million Ghana cedis on a $10 million transaction every time.
I see. So what now? What is the BDC doing to cushion itself, or what can the BDC do?
For me, I think that this entire pricing mechanism continues to run the fiscal situation of the country down. It's not that productive. We've incurred over 1.8 billion US dollars in under recoveries, both price and FX under recovery since 2011 to date. And as a nation, I don't think the most productive way to use our funds. But the only way to deal with this is for us to price liberalize the environment and get ready for a full deregulated sector, which would actually inject efficiency and price competitiveness at the pump. As of now, the structure makes government underwrite practically almost every single risk because government wants to control the pricing at the pump and also the exchange and the FX supply risk. And that has put a major drain on our economy, most of us do not realize. But the BDC business accounts for about 20% of the FX requirements that are needed for total imports in the country.
Now, we have also been told that this could translate into shortage of fuel in time to come. Now, how much stock do we have before then?
Off my head, I will not be able to tell you how much stock we have, and I cannot confirm or necessarily deny whether there will be shortages or not. That will just be a market situation. Our businesses are funded by the banks. Once funding confidence wanes, we have less access to credit, and credit is what really oils the wheels of our trade. So our ability to function would significantly diminish. But we are working around the clock and trying to develop unorthodox trading models to still keep our service to the market active. And we'll continue to do that. There's a broader implication of this entire thing that goes beyond the BDC, and that is the systemic risk that the pricing structure and the current debt levels present to the banking and financial system, and by extension, the entire economy. All the debts that we have are largely funded by the banks. So further delays with payment or, increasing the exposure to compound the debt will only lead to one thing: further illiquidity in the banking sector, and also the crowding out of the private sector. And more importantly, there's a major risk of default on the side of BDCs, which will easily crash the entire financial system. So it's something that must be looked at holistically, and maybe we need to review this whole concept of government intervention. Should that really be the case? I think, in my opinion, that the speak should change. Should prices go up? Should prices stay down? That should not be the speak we should have. We should ask, what can government do to constructively mitigate the impact of petroleum prices on the ordinary Ghanaian? And that's why the concept of mass transportation should be looked at more productively. We've seen some buses at the Parliament.
But in the meantime, to want to save the BDCs from crashing, would you propose that perhaps price of fuel should go up?
Prices will definitely need to go up. Under the current pricing regime, we are incurring 20 million cedis every 2 weeks. 20 million cedis is more than enough to actually change the face start the changing of the face of our mass transportation system. And we can have a more targeted subsidy policy. We have buses sitting at Parliament, and we just need very little funds to be able to invest in the infrastructure to roll out the bus rapid transport system. Spending it on subsidies is not a prudent way to invest within the economy. And I think that we should get objective about it.
But Senor, how do we explain? How do we explain to the Ghanaian people how oil prices have fallen on the world market, but the price of fuel at the pump would go up?
Okay, it's because there's very little understanding and education on our part as industry players. And that's why people may not understand how it works. Prices since January, when the petroleum prices were dropped by 10%, have moved up internationally for refined products, not for crude, by 12.9%. Meanwhile, with regards to crude has dropped by 0.6%. Okay. You also have the exchange rate that's being applied.
Well, Senor, I'm afraid we'll leave the conversation here. We'll continue in subsequent broadcasts. You want to make time to watch the Joy News today, where we have this conversation further. For more news, visit myjoyonline.com.